Today on The Big Story, Singapore confirms 7 cases of Wuhan virus and the multi-ministerial task force announces increased measures to counter the spread. Chinese citizens urged to reconsider overseas travel as over 100 people have died and number of confirmed cases passes 4,500. And finally, mysterious men walking in the drains of Singapore. The Straits Times investigates who these people are and where this hideout is. Welcome back from the Lunar New Year weekend break. Now you're watching The Big Story, where we will discuss the hottest topics of the day and explain why they matter. I'm Haryanto Diman, coming to you live from the Straits Times newsroom. 2 more Wuhan virus cases have been confirmed, bringing the total number of cases here to 7. The latest update was revealed earlier today by the Health Ministry. Both are male Chinese nationals from Wuhan. They tested positive for the virus yesterday night. One is a 56-year-old who arrived in Singapore on January 19. He developed a cough on January 25th, and went to Changi General Hospital the next day. Prior to that, he stayed with his family in Pasir Ris Grove. The other one is a 35. He arrived here on January 23rd and was staying at Marina Bay Sands. He had symptoms the next day, went to Raffles Hospital and was sent to NCID on the same day. All confirmed cases here are Chinese nationals from Hubei. There is no evidence that the virus has spread in the community, but this still presents a heightened risk to Singapore. The authorities also announced enhanced measures to limit the risk to Singapore. Now we have senior correspondent Joyce Teo to share more with us. Welcome, Joyce.
Hi.
Now, Joyce, before we go on to you, of course, Minister of the National Development as well as co-chair of the Multi-Ministerial Task Force, Lawrence Wong, also spoke to members of the media earlier. Now, have a look.
Just in the last 24 hours, we have seen an accelerating trend in the infection among PRC nationals from Hubei province. Right, within Singapore itself, we have had a near doubling of imported cases overnight. All of the cases confirmed in Singapore are imported, and all of them are Chinese nationals from Hubei. We are looking at new arrivals, all new visitors. The numbers have already come down because of all the measures taken by China and Singapore. But given the heightened risk, we don't want to leave anything to chance, so we will not allow entry of any new visitor who has had recent travel history in Hubei or is holding a PRC passport issued in Hubei. No entry, nor will we allow transit through Singapore.
Now, Joyce, of course, Minister mentioned quite briefly on the enhanced measures. If you could share with us and explain to us more on the latest developments.
As the Minister said, it's actually they have these measures to prevent widespread transmission, because right now there's no community transmission, right? So they are asking people, they're checking those people from passports from Hubei, and those who have been there in the past 14 days, they're not allowed to enter or transit in Singapore. And this will start from noon on Wednesday.
Right. So that means, to reiterate the point, visitors from Hubei now will not be allowed, even if it's through transiting via Singapore as well, is not allowed.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
What about visitors that have been here already?
Yeah, so they've said there are about 2,000 of them from Hubei who are already here in Singapore. So the authorities are contacting them, and those who are assessed to be of higher risk, right, they will be quarantined at home or in suitable facilities. So those who have been in close contact with a known source or who have travelled there in the past 14 days, so they will asked to stay at home or be put at government quarantine facilities. So we've reported that some of them are the Changi chalets, I think Sembawang chalets, and they are also preparing school hostels for that. So it really depends on how many of them are at a high risk. So if there are a lot, then obviously they'll have to prepare more facilities for them.
Right. Now, Joyce, experts also have said that the outbreak will last months at least. And in your recent article as well, you outlined that 20% of those infected could become severely ill. What can we do to protect ourselves?
So the experts have said, it's the same thing, because it's like preventing a cold, although there are some parts that we don't know of. So I think the key thing is to wash your hands properly, with soap and water, and then use alcohol-based hand sanitizers if you don't have soap and water. And hand sanitizers, I think they said you have to use one that has more than 60% alcohol content. And of course, if your hands are dirty, you can't, so you have to wipe them clean, because if it's oily, it wouldn't work as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And just of course, if you're unwell, then to seek medical help.
Yes, and then wear a mask if you have respiratory symptoms. If you have shortness of breath, you're coughing, then you wear a mask to protect yourself, and then it's vice versa as well.
Now, of course, Joyce, let's focus on some online claims that have been circulating around now.
Right.
We need to be vigilant, of course, and of course that includes taking a second look at online claims. Now, there have been bogus fear-mongering claims circulating online, and one use of POFMA, in fact, for the claim that someone had died here in Singapore.
Yeah, I think that's terrible. I think this is a time to actually stay calm and not panic, and then if you spread all this, you're just going to panic everybody, because you know, as this develops, experts have really said it will last for months, right? And then very likely we'll have more cases. We should stay calm. What you can do is, you know, all those precautions that you take, wash your hands, seek help if you have symptoms. I think if you have flu symptoms, and it lasts for like 2 to 3 days, more than that, you should go see a doctor. And actually, there's no need to wear a mask everywhere.
Yeah.
Wear a mask if you have symptoms, but otherwise, you should take care, but not wear it everywhere. Take your N95, and it just creates more panic around.
I just want to focus on one example, and then this was also outlined in our Ask ST article as well. There is this news that was going around on WhatsApp that certain neighborhoods have had cases reported, and you know, people are asking, should we avoid these places completely?
There's no need to, because these are not confirmed cases; they are suspected cases. And also, the ministries have also said that when you are, so those assessed to be of higher risk, that means you're in close contact. It doesn't mean that you walk past them, you're going to get the virus, or you brush past them. So you need to be in contact with them for a reasonable amount of time, and to be in close contact. And that they said is usually within 2 meters.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Joyce, for coming on to share a bit more on the latest updates here in Singapore, and of course the enhanced measures that were just announced by the multi-ministerial task force. Now, for more on the Wuhan virus, you can visit our Straits Times chat website, which is straitstimes.com. Now, for the latest update also, you can subscribe to our Telegram channel at the Straits Times. Now, moving on to the situation outside of Singapore, Chinese citizens have been urged to reconsider overseas travel to reduce cross-border movement to help contain the virus. So far, over 100 people have died there, and the number of confirmed cases rising to 4,500. The United States and Canada have warned their citizens to avoid unnecessary travel to China. Canada has 2 confirmed cases of the virus and is investigating 19 more potential cases. Authorities in Hubei province have taken a lot of flack from the public over their initial response to the virus. In rare public self-criticism, Wuhan Mayor Zhou Xianwang said the city's management of the crisis was not good enough and indicated he was willing to resign. Now we have Global Affairs correspondent Goh Swee Noi to share with us more on the updates in China. Welcome, Swee Noi. Swee Noi, if you could tell us, what is the situation now in China after the CNY holiday? China, most parts of China has been on a lockdown. Has it been proven useful?
Any lockdown would be useful because it prevents carriers from moving around and spreading the virus around. So we know that China began its lockdown of Wuhan on January 23rd. This is the epicenter, and it has a population of 11 million. And China also locked down several cities surrounding it. So we know that 40 million people have been confined to their cities and not moving around. And also, the government has also restricted travel in and out of much of Hubei province itself. And according to experts, also residents are also asked to stay at home. Public transport has been stopped, train stations, not functioning, and places of entertainment, a lot of them are closed. as well. So according to experts, such quarantine measures, together with other measures like frequent hand washing, wearing of masks, they should work to bring down the rate of infection. They also say that it would be 2 weeks or more before we can see the effect of the control measures that China has been taking. So, but it should work. So we should see its effect in the next 2 weeks or so. Yeah.
And of course, Sunai, more than that also, what more are the authorities doing, you know, to combat this virus?
Yes, this virus has happened at the worst possible time. It is a Chinese New Year period. Chinese workers who work in other cities, this is time when they will travel home, back to the hometowns to celebrate Chinese New Year with family members, their parents, siblings. And then when the New Year is over, they will then travel back to the cities where they work. And this kind of mass movement with people packed in train stations, airports, on the trains, buses, planes, it's a lot easier for the virus to spread. So what the government has done is to extend the Chinese New Year holiday. It was supposed to end this Thursday, January 30th, but they've extended it till Sunday. And today they announced the postponement of the semester, the spring semester for schools and universities, and they have not given a date when school will reopen. So it just shows the seriousness that they are viewing this whole epidemic. Yeah. And besides that, they have also stopped group tours from going, I mean, the group tours within China itself and out of China overseas. And they have also encouraged individual travelers to postpone their travel if possible. So, and then of course, major sites like the Forbidden City, places like Disneyland, all these have been closed for now as well.
Now, so you know, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang also visited Wuhan and the site of a new hospital to be built in days, right? Could you share more on that? What is the progress so far of this new hospital that we're talking about?
Yeah. There are actually 2 hospitals that they're building. One 1,000-bed one and another 1,003, and they should be operational by the first one next Tuesday, February 3rd, and the second one on February 4th.
So that's as much as we know about these new hospitals, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sunai, for coming onto the show to share more on the updates that's happening in China as well outside of Singapore. Again, for more on the Wuhan virus, you can visit our website at straitstimes.com. Now on to What's Trending with Kim, where she will share with us what's buzzing on the internetverse. Over to you, Kim.
Thanks, Haryanto. The sports and entertainment world was shocked by the death of basketball star Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, who were among 9 people killed in a helicopter crash on Sunday morning. An outpouring of grief came from both Bryant's fans and celebrities, and outside the Staples Center where he played his home games has become a shrine for thousands to pay their respects. On Sunday night, the Staples Center also hosted the annual Grammy Awards, which kicked off with a tribute to Bryant. Many fans took to social media to say what Bryant meant to them, including a fan who shared a touching moment that he shared with his local florist. He ended his tweet by saying, "LA's love for Kobe is powerful." Amid the grief, questions of journalistic ethics were also raised. Tabloid news site TMZ was the first to report on the news, which upset LA's law enforcement officials who suggested that they reported on the news even before police could notify the family members of the victims. Los Angeles County Undersheriff Tim Murakami said in a tweet, "I understand getting the scoop, but please allow us time to make personal notifications to their loved ones. It's very cold to hear of the loss via media." I'm Kimberly Jiao, and that was What's Trending. If you've seen a story you want to share, do tell us on the Straits Times Facebook page. Back to you, Haryanto.
Well, thank you, Kim. Of course, our thoughts and prayers and certainly our condolences to the loved ones of Kobe. Now, we see a lot of comments right now on our Facebook page with regard to the Wuhan virus. Again, like we mentioned earlier on, for more updates on the Wuhan virus, you can check it out on our website, straitstimes.com. Now, moving on to our last segment. Like a scene from a movie, a labyrinth leads to a secret lair. But in this instance, it is a network of canals that lead to a hideout, where suspected illegal immigrants call home. For 2 months, the Straits Times team combed the drains and searched for the man with an unusual travel network. These canal networks in the northern part of Singapore have been a passage for suspected illegal immigrants to avoid detection from the authorities. The Straits Times team found one home. Among the items were a king-size mattress, 8 plastic chairs, a table next to a cooking and washing area, and a makeshift cabinet to store food and luggage. They also managed to speak briefly to the occupants of the hideout when they returned, before scrambling off. Now we have senior correspondent Zaihan Mohammad Yusof, who is part of the team, to share more with us. Hi, Zai.
Hello.
Now, Zai, if you could first let us know, how do you first find out about these drain walkers?
Well, in October last year, my colleague Solwan had shown us a photograph that was given to her of a man walking in a drain near Woodlands Road, just the top of the head. And we were curious because a few months prior, we did a story about this flyover in Tsinghua, where there was a group of foreigners living in a forest over there. So these are two separate areas, separated by drains of maybe about distance of about 3.5 kilometers. So it made us curious. We wanted to find out who these people were. Yeah.
And could you describe the investigation process? So what did you find out, and who really are these people?
Well, for the 2 months, we sat a lot beside the drain, close to the drains to observe. And we noticed for a few weeks there was a traffic, usually in the late afternoons and so on. And we decided to move our observation position, and we came almost face to face with 2 of them. They appeared to have come back from grocery shopping with their plastic bags and so on. So they were surprised by us. We were surprised by them. And but because of that day, I remember that day, it's December 27th, we lost them, but we found them maybe about an hour later in their camp. We followed the drains and it led us to their camp. So it is not only one hideout, there are several hideouts along the way, smaller ones, and you can see like coffin-like structures, basically hiding like mattresses and so on. So it's quite discreet.
Yeah. And do you manage to speak to these people?
Yeah, I did, but unfortunately, I think they were afraid of us initially. There were 4 of them at this one penthouse hideout. Yeah, they scrambled down this steep slope. I was so worried for their safety because it's a 2-story drop. But yeah, they spoke to us from there, saying that they are Malaysians and that they just arrived in the area, which is not true. We've been photographing them for about 2 months. Yeah, so we lost them, but now we knew where they were.
Right.
But it makes me wonder, like, this is so close to a HDB estate, within less than 80 meters, and there's one more small hideout less than 60 meters.
Right. Yeah, Zai, on that, right, I mean, it's not only about tracking down these people and uncovering their hideouts, but it is also a matter of safety for the residents in the area.
Correct, because you see, this small drain in near Woodlands Road, it leads all the way to Sega Road, and from there you can either choose to go to Mandai or to Bukit Timah Hill via the forest trails. Yeah, and in the evenings when we were doing our observation, we can see lone joggers, female joggers. This is about 7, close to 7, where it's almost dark, and sometimes we see lone photographers or so on. I mean, we don't know why they are there, why they're hiding out, but it makes you wonder if anything bad can happen. Should they be desperate? I don't know. So I think one thing is to raise the awareness that there are people living in forested areas, in the drains and so on. And another thing is the trash that was left behind. We can tell that some of the trash, the rubbish pile, are new, but some have been there long enough. They're discolored and so on. So maybe these hideouts have been used by different batches of suspected illegal immigrants or so on. So we do not know that. But yeah, there are many concerns there, you know.
Right. And Zaid, having said that, what's going to happen now to these hideouts and the people? Are they still, you know, undetected? Do we know anything? Any updates on that?
Well,
because you reported to the authorities as well while you were doing this investigation.
We reported the first time we saw them at their camp. That was in late December. So, yeah, you know, but you have to understand these guys are very fast. They are familiar with the terrain. They can disappear just like that. And the network of drains, my God, they lead everywhere. So I would think there would be some challenges involved if you were to mount an operation because their playground is very big. Yeah, but we know that the authorities have removed items that they have found at these camps, or some of them, like a mattress in the drain, that has been removed. But it remains to be seen if they will return to this area because it's such a choice location, you know, easy to hide, easy to disappear, yet close enough to a HDB estate.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Zai, for coming on to share more on this piece that you and and our colleague as well, Solwan, who have worked on. Now, for more on the story, and of course, there's an interactive graphic on it as well, and a video. You can check it out on our Straits Times website. Once again, we see a lot of comments on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page as well. A lot of you are expressing concern with regard to the Wuhan virus. Again, for the latest updates, you can visit our website on the Wuhan virus. You can also subscribe to our Telegram channel at the Straits Times. Now, there we have it, our top stories for today. For more news and videos, do log on to straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Haryanto. See you tomorrow for more stories on The Big Story.